But I do have to say, guys, if you're listening to this, which you probably aren't because, why would you? I just think that you need to stop getting girls to do stuff for you. You can do it for yourself. We don't want to carry your stuff. We don't want to cook for you all the time. We don't want to give you money. We don't want to listen to you all the time either. So yeah, that's just like my closing advice. Hey my loves, welcome to my channel, Honest Aphrodite. I want to talk about something that is extremely important to me today, and that is the question, can men and women actually be friends? And the answer, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is absolutely not. Okay, obviously I'm kidding. I need to explain why, because you're all probably like, oh my God, she's crazy. This is insane. No, men and women can be friends. Okay, well, I really don't think so. And I will give you all my reasons why and my experiences to back them up, because what else are you going to do other than use your experiences to help you make your decisions? So, and let me just give you a bit of is it a disclaimer, context, okay, whatever. I'm going to just tell you what I'm trying to say. I'm talking from the perspective of a straight cis woman being friends with a straight cis man who want to eventually partner up, get married, be in a partnership, date, whatever, common law, something, what you name it. Those are the two demographics I'm talking about. When it comes to being friends with gay men, gay women, there doesn't seem to be a problem. It's so easy, I love it. But when it comes to straight men and me, I'm just like, you know what? No. There's something that always happens. Something gets in the way and it's exhausting and it's disappointing. And it's not like I cancel these guys and write them off and that's it for me. No, they're going to stay in my life, obviously, unless they've completely overstepped a boundary, or I have. But otherwise, it's just they're not going to be the greatest friends. The other thing I want to explain is I am holding them to the standard of my girlfriends. And to me, my girlfriends, you can't beat them. They're the best. I've always had such amazing women in my life. I can talk about anything. I can share anything. They're always there for me. They'll pick me up in the middle of the night at the airport after we've had a fight. They'll, cook for me, clean for me, hold my head when I'm throwing up. They'll listen to me ad nauseum. But I haven't met a guy who'll actually do that to me without expecting something in return. And by that something, you probably know what I mean if you know anything at all. But yeah, I've actually taken notes because it is so important to me that I keep my stories, clear and succinct, and I don't just ramble because, oh God, I love talking about this. I even have some stupid jasmine tea. It's actually delicious. I mean, it smells good, but it just tastes like hot water because you know what? That's what tea is. I'm not a better person for drinking it. It's kind of warm. It's nice. And it's December 26th. It's the day after Christmas. So I need a little bit of warmth, whatever. Okay. Basically, if there's a potential for sex and romance in the relationship, it's going to be really hard for me. I find that my relationships with men always come down to something extremely transactional. And it's they veer into different forms of relationships, none of which I want to be in. So, okay, let me give you examples here. I've changed these names for privacy, obviously, and you're going to get a good idea of why I have the opinion that I have. So we've got an old friend, Jonah, from Colombia. I lived in Colombia for 5 years with we weren't married at the time, but with my boyfriend. Now we're married. And this was a friend, this young man, Jonah. I worked with him at the university. Wonderful young man, full of life, fun, handsome. And it's quite an anomaly to have a really good looking young man working where we worked because we were in the department that taught English language and other languages. And, that is not a sexy department. That's not a sexy thing to learn. It's not like we were in media or arts or theater or even sometimes physics can be hot. And we certainly weren't in like finance. It was just, ugh, it's not known for its good looks for men or women. So he was a little golden boy. Everyone loved him, and he was younger than everyone. So we had a friendship group. It was a group of girls, mostly my age, and he was about 10 years younger. We loved him, but that boy could do nothing on his own. We were constantly having to, give him money because he had forgotten his wallet or didn't have any money or didn't have his card. He'd show up to places without his ID. He would not have water in his water bottle if we were like out on some day trip somewhere. He wouldn't show up to parties with a party gift like wine or alcohol or something. And he'd kind of ask if he could like go in on one of the bottles with us. He would never have cigarettes. He'd always bum them off of us. He'd never have like minutes on his cell phone. And finally, one of our friends was like, dude, you can't like stop asking us for help. And he got a little sour about that. And we noticed as well, like he didn't ask us as much for stuff, but he also like didn't want to hang out as much. So I was like, okay, all right. So either he's found someone else to, kind of support him, or he was, just not interested in being as much of our friend if we didn't give him stuff and take care of him. So suddenly we were all in the position of being like his mother or his older sister. And it was just like, no, dude, we're not doing that. Sorry. If I wanted to do that, I'd have a kid, obviously. But I didn't want that. Okay, here's another one. We've got my friend Matt from my master's degree, Hunter College. He was a lovely man. Other end of the spectrum, older than me about by 15 years or something like that. We had great, I don't want to say chemistry. Well, okay, chemistry, but not in a sexual way. We had a great working relationship because we did a lot of projects together. We worked so well together. Good vibes, I guess that's what you'd call it. He was wonderful, but then he started to want to do things with me that slowly but surely felt like dates. It just felt like a date, like hours strolling through the park, hours at restaurants, wines, desserts. It's just something about the way he wanted to like sit with me and the things he wanted to talk about. The way he'd look into my eyes, I was like, I'm just not interested. I'm not interested. And so rather than just kind of saying it, I was young and shy and stupid at the time. I mean, I'm still quite stupid, but I'm a bit older now. I should have just like called him out on it, but I didn't. I just started kind of backing off. And then he got mad at me and said that I wasn't a good friend because I wasn't wanting to hang out with him more. And of course, I was ghosting him. I was ghosting him as a friend because I felt super uncomfortable. And he kind of, he called me out on it. And he was like, how can you be like this? And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to have this conversation. And then I moved to Colombia, so it didn't matter. I basically ran away, so far away. I left the city. So that was totally a line cross that went from something that I felt was a really great, solid friendship into just, him having a crush on me. And it's not the end of the world. It's fine. If I had been single, if I had wanted it to go further, fine. We would have done it. It's just that, like, it was clear that there was no friendship to be had after that point. Like, that was it. Okay, then we've got, who is this? Oh, Albert. I just gave this person the name Albert. Albert from work. This man, also a bit older than me, developed a crush on me. And it just became so uncomfortable to the point where he would also just tell me like, oh, I would be with you. I would be with you tomorrow if I could, just forever. Like I just missed the lottery with you being married. And I'm like, you know what? Don't say that out loud to me, because at a certain point, fine. It's flattering. It's flattering. Who doesn't want to be told that like they're so wonderful and beautiful and marriage material and somebody else wants to be with you? It's always nice to hear that. I'm not saying that, but it's just like when that's all the person can continue to talk about, and just continues to seek out a deeper and deeper relationship when I'm clearly saying, no, we can keep it at this level as friends, as colleagues. But no, that wasn't going to work for them. So it's just kind of like you've got to keep it you got to keep it shallow. I still love this person very much, but it's like at arm's length, because at a certain point, like, I'm going to put my energy into my husband, not this friendship. Okay, then we've also got a guy, funny one. This guy named Harold. I think he was a little bit older than me. This dude that I knew at work. Great to talk to him, great colleague. Could have developed into a great friendship, but he ended up like leaving work anyway. But he had this habit of coming into my office space and leaving his trash around. He'd come in with his like disposable coffee cup and like a bag that had a croissant in it or something. And he would just leave the bag and coffee there as he left. Like, okay, I'm just going to leave it here. He did it every single time he came in to see me. He'd leave something of some sorts. And it was either like the coffee wasn't necessarily completely drunk. It wasn't pure trash, but you knew that he wanted to just throw it away and he just left it there. And I'm like, dude, you are literally in my space leaving your trash. And it just it sends this subtle signal to me. Again, you can call me a fool. You could tell me I'm too sensitive, like that I'm reading into this too much. But to me, that's a very, very clear signal that he didn't have enough respect for me or my space. And he'd always come in. I don't think he knew anything about me, but he'd just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about himself and his problems and then leave his trash there. So symbolic, right? So I was just like, oh my God. So at one point I got a little petty. I mean, why not? And just took the trash back and left it in front of his door. Because I'm like, I'm not even going to throw it away for you, dude. I'm putting it back here. And he came out at one point. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I left your trash there because I wasn't sure if you still wanted it. Yeah, and he got a little bit annoyed about that. But I was like, well, I was annoyed about what you did. So we're even, right? And again, none of this breaks the relationship. But I'm certainly not going to call it a deep friendship, especially because he never listened to me and he left his trash in my room. So he assumed, I guess, that I'd pick it up. It's just this, maybe it's subconscious on some of their parts, like treating women as somebody to take care of you no matter what your relationship is. And that's exhausting. It's utterly exhausting. Let's see, I have a few more. Okay, so we've got another one. This kind of gets into a whole other realm. Okay, this is getting into another area. Sorry, I'm like reading my notes. We've got a guy that I studied with in my master's again. So I was in my late 20s. He was the same age. We were good friends. We worked together on projects. We actually lived in the same area in Brooklyn. So we ended up doing like hanging out sometimes. Like I invited him to my birthday, a few dinners at the apartment because they lived with roommates. And one day we went out and did some photography together because I was trying to learn about like analog photography and he was really good at it. So we went out and then we came back to my apartment. My roommate was there, a girl, and we all just like had a drink and snacks together or something. And she and I were sitting on this side of the table and he was on the other side. And this man could not stop talking about how much he loved Asian women. Just on and on and on. Like he loves them so much. He's planning on going to China after he finished his master's because he was going to get some work there. And he wanted to just like live the rest of his life there because he loves Asian women so much. And like, first of all, it's just like, there are so many problems with that. Let's start with the fact that it's just, he loves Asian women, like not even a particular culture, just women that look like that. That's it. Nothing about like their characters or their the language or the culture. No, it's just how they look, because he went on and on and on and on about their looks. And it's like, okay, that's absolutely fine if you keep that information to yourself. But the fact that you're putting it out there and saying it out loud, it's like you just kind of look like a dick, you know? The other thing that we didn't like was that, I mean, do I look Asian? No, not in the slightest. My friend didn't either. We're just two white girls, two Caucasians, and we're sitting there listening to me go on and on and on about this. And we're like, well, are we ugly? Are we like not pretty then? Are we just chopped liver? Are we so, sexless that we just sit here and listen to you talk about other women and be fine with it? I'm sorry, again, I'm not enough of a friend with you to listen to you talk about this. And I'm certainly not one of the guys. Dude, I mean, it annoyed me so much. And my friend as well. We talked about it. We still talk about it. We're like, you remember that guy? You remember that guy? And I really, really hate it when my guy friends will talk about other girls in front of me in an objectifying way. Okay, in an objectifying way. It's infuriating. And of course we can unpack it and talk about like, oh, it's because you're more insecure, then it's more about you than about them. Okay, fine, maybe it is, but it bothers me. So there. A similar thing with colleagues when they would find out that that I lived in Colombia, the first thing that they would say to me, not even colleagues, strangers as well, male strangers, they would say, oh my God, the Colombian women, right? Oh, don't you just love them? Well, no, I mean, I like them because they're nice, but what? Like, am I supposed to be like turned on by them? Oh yeah, because they're like the most beautiful women in the world. Okay, yeah, all right. And why are you telling me this? Like, do you want me to approve that or agree or what? Like, come on. Don't ask me to do that. I'm a straight woman. Don't start talking about how beautiful other women are around in front of me. So anyway, that's a whole other topic. So these are just the examples of what I consider to be guys overstepping. But we have to remember that I'm part of this too. Like, I'm obviously a human being who has like an insane ability to crush, and I would like absolutely fall in love with guys. Like, they'd be in a friendship group and I'd be like, oh my God, oh, they're so cute. I want to be with them. How does that happen? And so, yeah, obviously not in love, but like I'd have a crush. I was, like in my teens, 20s. Hello. But then, that would obviously be an overstep on my side, because I would like do things to try and make it more of a romantic thing, and that, if they weren't into it, they'd be like, oh no, thank you, obviously. And so like one very classic cliche of a story was, I was in college. I really, really had a crush on this guy. I did everything I could to be around him. I worked on a project with him, did all of the work for him. I just took on so much of a burden, because I thought if I could just study hard enough and do his work and research enough and just show him how smart I was, he would want to be with me, right? Isn't that how it works? No, of course that's not how it works. He clearly liked someone else, and he talked to me about them, I guess thinking that I was a friend enough to, want to hear about that, which, as we know, I don't want to hear about that. And then, he skipped merrily away off into that other relationship while I watched and, broke pencils in my angst and, youthful upset. So yeah, I've been on the other side of it as well. These are my experiences, and I am really having a hard time thinking of a guy that I would consider like a deep friend. So when I hear of women talking about like, this guy is my best friend, I tell him everything, we'll sleep in the same bed together, he's like family, and I want to be like, really? Like, you sleep in the same bed with him? You tell him everything? Like, but then you also have a boyfriend, like, or a husband, like, so what do you talk to your husband about? And okay, yeah, I know I'm seeing it as like a zero sum game. Like, okay, share with whatever you share with this guy, you can't obviously share with your husband. That's not true. Obviously, you can share it with both, but like, there's only a certain amount of energy to go around. Like, you can't just give and give and give and spend all this time with one person and not have that same amount of time with the other person, unless you all live together, unless it's a threesome, I mean, whatever. It could be, that's totally fine, but it's also just like, I don't see how that works. So yeah, that again, totally my opinion. And also the guys that I do consider to be friends, they are definitely at an arm's length. They are my friend in this context at work, they're my friend in this context in studies, my friend in this context in this writing class or whatever, They're not people that I will call up at midnight and cry about heartbreak. I mean, really, no. Because I've done that before, and then it's only a matter of time till like they ask for more, whether it's actually just doing stuff for them or them wanting to be with you in some capacity. And it's like, oh no. Anyway, I really should have thought about this more in advance, because I'm trying to think of like names, a name, a title to give these kinds of guy friends, because I don't want to say that we're not friendly. Maybe like friendly guys in my life. That's kind of long and clunky. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, it's not like I don't have guys in my life that I consider friends. They're friends, but just there's a certain level to which I will go with them as friends, in terms of how much time I'll spend with them or how much energy I'll give to them and how much I'll talk to them, because I just always feel like it becomes, there's this certain level where they just start taking and taking and taking, and I'm like, why does this happen? And it's not just with friends, it's happened with lovers and boyfriends before as well. It's like, no, is it something that just happens with straight guys? Or is it just a human thing? And I don't know. Anyway, you can comment about that, and I'll explore that more in the future. But still, I want to say that the friendly guys in my life, the guys that I've liked in my life and have kept as friends, the best ones are those who have either had a long-term relationship before or are in a long-term relationship, because they have a better sense of how to treat you. They have a better sense of boundaries. They have a better sense of when to shut up. They have a better sense of, even if we're friends and, we're still girls, females, and I'd really like to be treated in a certain way. I don't need you to act like you might around the guys. I really do kind of like that gender divide in a way. So don't get too comfortable around me. That's all I'm saying. So I just feel like, okay, they're more of gentlemen. And I do appreciate that. I do have to say, I appreciate it a lot. And it makes them easier to be around and easier to trust. And so that's, I guess, the basis of a good friendship, right? But at the end of the day, none of them will be as wonderful as my girlfriends, because it's my girlfriends that, like I said, are absolutely 100% there for me, and I'll always call on. So what you might be thinking right now is like, she clearly doesn't have a sense of what a good guy friend is. If she has never had one, then what does she even want from a guy friend? Maybe that actually is the issue, that I don't have a sense of what they are and what it is that I'm looking for. Because yeah, you decide what you want out of a friendship just the same way you do out of a romantic relationship. And so yeah, so if I have to think about it, if I have to like put words into this and like list off attributes that I want out of this guy friend, it's like, I want him to always be there for me. I want him to listen to my problems. I want him to sympathize with me. Don't not question me too much. Question me enough to like keep me in line and keep me honest with myself, but not too much. I would also want him to call me out on my BS, but obviously not too much. I would want him to give me advice, but not like too much advice. I don't want him to just try to give me answers and fix everything. I'd want him to like just mostly listen, you know. But then I also want him to share about himself, because if he doesn't share about himself, then it's kind of like, ugh. I also, under no circumstances, want to feel any awkward obligation to him, either sexually or in terms of like time or energy. I just want it to be, you know, simple, easy. I want to be able to call him up whenever and not worry about how it might seem to other people, if he's married or not, you know, that might be awkward. So yeah. And you know what? Like, as I'm describing this, I'm realizing like this is what I have in my girlfriends. So you know what? Maybe honestly, like maybe it's I just my girlfriends are going to be my people, and the males that I have in my life who I get along with are just, that is just what they are. Maybe I don't need to make it a friendship. They just are who they are, and that the way those relationships form, they don't have to be any different. But I do have to say, guys, if you're listening to this, which you probably aren't, because, you know, why would you? I just think that you need to stop getting girls to do stuff for you. You can do it for yourself. We don't want to carry your stuff. We don't want to cook for you all the time. We don't want to give you money. We don't want to listen to you all the time either. So yeah, that's just like my closing advice. Okay, I'm going to finish this because I've been rambling for quite a while now with another perspective. And that perspective is actually from a man who happens to be my husband. He's like not even in the other room. I'm just pointing there. And he seems to think that men and women can be friends. Yeah, and maybe from all of his experiences, because I have to say, like, I've met the female friends he's had in his life. Some of them I hate, some of them I love, but they really do seem to have this kind of pure and beautiful friendship that doesn't seem transactional. It doesn't cross lines. Again, I'm kind of putting it up to a cultural difference. He's Colombian. Those women were Colombian, like they were friends he's had since childhood. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, honestly, maybe it's just cultural. Maybe it's just like the US, where we've been exposed to so many ridiculous Hollywood stories and Disney that we're like, okay, yeah, this is my friend, but maybe he's my lover. It's just like, ugh. And I really think that somewhere in his head, like, if he's decided that a woman is his friend, like, there is no surpassing that, and it's very distinct in his mind. Like, if they are his friend, that's it. It doesn't go into something more. Like, you're a lover or a friend, you know. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting that he thinks that. I, on the other hand, would be quite suspicious of his friends if I'm not now, but at the beginning I was like, these girls want you. It's clear, right? It's clear. You cannot possibly be such good friends if they don't want you or you don't want them. And I mean, over time I have clearly been proven wrong, but I mean, deep down, if I find out that any of them have been with him, I will not be surprised, and I will absolutely say, I told you so, because I'll be like, yeah, see, there you are. Not a friendship. But yeah, I digress, and I am, need to stop before you think I'm completely insane and bitter and jaded. And I do want to say, I hold out hope that I will have wonderful male friends in the future, even if they aren't much deeper than like having a great conversation at work and, meeting up for coffee now and then, whatever. It's great to have them. It does bring a nice dynamic. But yeah, when it comes to them being at the same level as my girlfriends, it's just never, ever, ever going to happen. All right. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go get myself some actual drink, not this stupid tea. I'm going to go get some wine, and I'll see you next time.